Every night at 11 p.m., while most people were winding down their day, 25-year-old Marcus was just getting started. Not at a prestigious office or a corporate boardroom. Marcus was scrubbing the greasy floor of a small hamburger joint in Columbus, Ohio. The yellow fluorescent lights flickered above him as he scrubbed away the remnants of another busy day. Ketchup stains, crumpled napkins, and the sticky residue of spilled sodas. This was his reality. This was his life. And to some people, this was all he would ever be. But what those people didn't know was that Marcus Thompson was playing a completely different game. And in just 3 years, everything would change in a way no one, especially his friends, could have ever imagined. Marcus had never planned to be a janitor. 6 years earlier, he'd graduated from Columbus Community College with decent grades, but no clear direction. While his high school friends, Jake, Devin, and Brandon, had landed entry-level positions at Midwest Agricultural Solutions, one of the largest farm equipment manufacturers in the state, Marcus bounced between temp jobs and dead-end gigs. "Yo, Marcus! Still mopping floors, bro?" Jake's voice would echo through his phone during their occasional group calls. Laughter always followed. "Man, when you gonna get a real job?" Marcus would force a chuckle, his jaw tight. "Just temporary, man. I'm working on something." "Working on something," Devin would mock. "Yeah, working on being employee of the month at a burger joint." More laughter. Brandon, the quietest of the three, rarely joined in the jokes, but he never defended Marcus either. His silence spoke volumes. These weren't strangers. These were his boys. People he'd known since middle school. They'd played basketball together, stayed up all night gaming, shared dreams of making something of themselves. But now, those dreams felt divided by an invisible wall. On one side stood Jake, Devin, and Brandon. Corporate badges dangling from their necks, steady paychecks, benefits, and an air of superiority. On the other side stood Marcus, with a mop bucket and a name tag that read, "Maintenance Staff." Every Friday night, they'd meet at Riley's bar for drinks. Marcus would show up in his work polo, smelling faintly of industrial cleaner, while they arrived in button-ups and slacks. Their conversations dominated by corporate jargon, quarterly projections, operational efficiency, management restructuring. "How's the janitorial business treating you, Marky Mark?" Jake would say with a smirk, slapping him on the back a little too hard. "You ever gonna climb that ladder? Oh wait, you probably just clean it, right?" The table would erupt in laughter. Marcus would smile, but inside something burned. What Jake, Devin, and Brandon didn't see, what they couldn't see, was what happened after Marcus left the diner each night. At 2 a.m., when the streets were empty and the city was asleep, Marcus would return to his small one-bedroom apartment. No Netflix, no video games, no scrolling through social media for hours. Instead, he would sit at a worn wooden desk under a single desk lamp and open his laptop. Business management, strategic operations, financial planning, organizational psychology, supply chain optimization, human resources development. Marcus devoured online courses from Harvard Business School. He studied leadership case studies from Fortune 500 companies. He analyzed the rise and fall of empires in industries ranging from automotive to agriculture. But Marcus didn't just study theory. He applied it. He turned Angelo's diner into his personal laboratory. He tracked inventory inefficiencies, observed customer behavior patterns, and even drafted a cost reduction proposal for the owner, Mr. Angelo, who was initially skeptical but eventually implemented Marcus's suggestions. Within 3 months, the diner's profit margins increased by 18%. Mr. Angelo, a stout Italian man in his 60s, pulled Marcus aside one evening. Kid, I don't know where you learned this stuff, but you've got a gift. You're wasting your time with that mop. Marcus smiled. Not wasting time, Mr. Angelo. I'm learning. And he was. Every shift, every floor he cleaned, every late-night interaction with tired customers, it all added to his understanding of how businesses operated at the ground level, where most MBA graduates never bothered to look. On weekends, Marcus didn't go to Riley's bar anymore. He went to business seminars, free workshops, and networking events. He introduced himself to entrepreneurs, managers, and CEOs. He asked questions. He listened. He learned. One night, at a leadership conference in downtown Columbus, Marcus met a retired executive named Harold Benson, who'd spent 35 years at Midwest Agricultural Solutions, the same company where Jake, Devin, and Brandon worked. "You've got hunger in your eyes, son," Harold said, shaking Marcus's hand. "That's rare these days. Most young people want the title without putting in the work." Marcus told Harold his story, the late nights, the mockery, the doubt. Harold listened intently. "Never let people who've settled for mediocrity tell you what's possible," Harold said, handing Marcus his business card. "Stay in touch. You never know when an opportunity might arise." 2 years passed. Marcus continued his silent grind. By day, he cleaned floors. By night, he built an empire of knowledge. Then, in the spring of 2022, everything shifted. Midwest Agricultural Solutions announced a major internal restructuring. They were expanding their regional operations and looking for a new operations supervisor to oversee efficiency, team management, and strategic development. It was a mid-level management position, significant, challenging, and highly competitive. Harold Benson, now a consultant for the company, reached out to Marcus. "I recommended you," Harold said over the phone. "They want to interview you next week." Marcus's heart pounded. "But I don't have corporate experience." "You have something better," Harold interrupted. "You have real-world problem-solving skills, education you earned yourself, and a work ethic most people only talk about. Go show them." The interview was unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. A panel of senior executives grilled him for 90 minutes. Situational questions, case studies, leadership scenarios. But Marcus didn't just answer. He impressed. He spoke about cost optimization strategies he'd learned while streamlining Angelo's diner. He referenced supply chain theories from MIT courses. He discussed leadership psychology from Stanford materials. He demonstrated a depth of knowledge that rivaled candidates with Ivy League MBAs. 2 weeks later, Marcus received the call. "Mr. Thompson, we'd like to offer you the position of operations supervisor." Marcus sat in his small apartment, staring at the offer letter. The salary was triple what he made at the diner. But more than that, it was validation. Proof that the late nights, the sacrifice, the mockery, all of it had been worth it. He called Mr. Angelo first. "I got it." "Of course you did, kid," Mr. Angelo said, pride evident in his voice. "Now go show them what you're made of." Marcus's first day at the highly sought-after corporate company was on a Monday in June. He wore a crisp navy suit, a burgundy tie, and shoes he'd polished 3 times. As he walked through the glass doors of the corporate building, he felt a strange mixture of excitement and disbelief. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. The HR director led him through the building, explaining his responsibilities and introducing him to various departments. Then they reached the operations department, Marcus's new domain. And there, sitting at their desks, were Jake, Devin, and Brandon. The air froze. Jake looked up first, his coffee cup halfway to his lips. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Marcus." Devin stood up slowly, confusion painted across his face. Brandon said nothing. He just stared. "Gentlemen," the HR director announced cheerfully, "I'd like you to meet your new operations supervisor, Marcus Thompson." The silence was deafening. Jake's face went pale. Devin's mouth hung open. Brandon looked like he'd seen a ghost. Marcus stood tall, his hands clasped behind his back, his expression calm and professional. "Good morning," Marcus said evenly. "I look forward to working with all of you." The HR director continued the tour, leaving Jake, Devin, and Brandon in stunned silence. For 3 years, they'd laughed at him, mocked him, made him feel small. And now? Now he was their boss. The first few weeks were tense. Jake avoided eye contact. Devin was overly formal, a stark contrast to his previous casual arrogance. Brandon worked quietly, his guilt evident in every interaction. But Marcus didn't gloat. He didn't belittle them. He didn't throw their past words back in their faces. Instead, he led. He held one-on-one meetings with each of them, asking about their goals, challenges, and ideas for improving operations. He listened, truly listened, something their previous supervisor rarely did. He implemented systems that reduced inefficiencies and recognized strong performance publicly. Jake was resistant at first, his pride wounded. But when Marcus credited Jake's input during a departmental meeting, something shifted. Devin, who'd been coasting on mediocrity, found himself challenged by Marcus's high standards, but also supported in ways he'd never experienced. Brandon, the quiet one, opened up, admitting he'd always felt guilty about the jokes, but didn't know how to stop them. "I'm not here for revenge," Marcus told them during a team meeting 6 weeks into his tenure. "I'm here to help us all succeed." What happened before, those Friday nights, the jokes, that's in the past. What matters now is what we do today and tomorrow. It was a turning point. Jake approached Marcus after the meeting, his usual bravado gone. "Man, I need to apologize. We were out of line. All those years, we thought we were better than you because we had titles, but you were building something we couldn't even see." Devin nodded. "You earned this, Marcus. For real." Brandon extended his hand. "I should have said something back then." "I'm sorry." Marcus shook each of their hands. "We're good. Let's move forward." Within 6 months, Marcus's department became the highest performing unit in the company. Efficiency increased by 28%. Employee satisfaction scores soared. The CEO personally commended Marcus during a company-wide meeting. But the real victory wasn't in the numbers. It was in the transformation. Jake, Devin, and Brandon weren't just co-workers anymore. They became genuine allies, inspired by Marcus's journey and work ethic. They stopped settling for mediocrity and started pushing themselves to grow. One Friday evening, the 4 of them met at Riley's bar, the same place where Marcus had endured countless jokes. But this time, the atmosphere was different. "To Marcus," Jake said, raising his glass. "The guy who taught us that titles don't make you successful. Character does." They clinked glasses. Marcus looked at his friends, people who doubted him, mocked him, underestimated him, but also people who'd learned, grown, and changed. "You know what the real lesson is?" Marcus said, leaning back in his chair. "It's not about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I didn't clean those floors to show you I was better. I cleaned them because I needed to learn discipline, humility, and resilience. And those qualities, they don't come from a title. They come from the grind." Marcus Thompson's story, isn't just about a janitor who became a supervisor. It's about the power of silent persistence, the strength found in humility, and the undeniable truth that your current position doesn't define your future potential. When people laugh at your struggle, remember, they're watching your prologue, not your full story. And sometimes, the greatest victories aren't won with words. They're won with work. So whatever floor you're cleaning right now, literally or figuratively, keep going. Keep learning. Keep grinding. Because your chapter isn't finished yet. And who knows? The people laughing today might just be working for you tomorrow.